Hi, I'm Mickey Zeta, and this is Sunday Night Wine with Mickey. I have got a new wine. It's called Fit Wine, and I'm kind of excited about it. This is a Chardonnay, and it's nice and oaky, so I'm pretty happy with trying Fit Wine. I've been reading about it online, probably like you have, so I'm going to tell you, it's pretty good, so give it a shot. Tonight is Sunday night, and I am so happy to have you join me. I told you on Facebook that what we're going to talk about tonight is I am enough and I am me. And what the heck does that mean? Well, you know, we all have made a lot of mistakes in our lives. We've taken directions we probably would have been better off not to have taken. We have made decisions that weren't that great. I'm the oldest of 7 kids. Mom had 7 kids in 10 years. And that's pretty much why I've got one. I think I raised kids all my life. I used to say that our family put the fun back in dysfunctional. And if you think you came from a dysfunctional family too, well, guess what? I think everybody did. There just aren't that many families out there that don't have some ghosts in the closet, or what do they call it? Yeah, ghosts in the closet. Skeletons in the closet. I have one family. I've met one family in all my life that I have not found anything. I haven't found the chink in their armor. It's a huge family. There's 8 or 9 kids. They all support each other. They're all well educated. They get together. They come from all over the country, all over the world to come together. So they're amazing. And so my guess is from my experience, from my research, my personal research, I'd say that 1 out of 99, it's like 99.9% of families have dysfunction in them. That's just how it is. I was born just a few years after baby boomer time. Boomers, of course, were born between 46 and 64, and I was born in 1950. So I'm right there in the beginning part of the boomer time. And my family was pretty much traditional, I'd say. Mom didn't work. She stayed home, which was the way it was back then. And I pretty much was trained that my brothers and my dad were, it was not a direct message, but the message was that they were more important, that we women, that we girls helped support them. We made excuses for some of the things they did wrong. As I said, this was not a functional family. It wasn't any worse than any other, probably, but there was a time, there were probably 5 or 6 years where I didn't even talk to my parents, so that's not good. I don't recommend that, but that's how it was. So anyway, you know, in 1950, women had just gotten the vote like 30 years before. 1920, I think that was when the 14th Amendment, I think it was the 14th Amendment? 19th. I wrote that down because I wasn't sure. The 19th Amendment was passed in 1920. So women just had the vote for 30 years when I was born. That's phenomenal. So that's the way I grew up, kind of being trained to be codependent, to be subservient more or less. And then I married a controlling guy and married young. I married really young. And eventually I realized that that wasn't the way to live, but I was 53 then. I spent a long, long time learning those lessons. I say I stayed way too long at the dance, but I believe that things work the way they're supposed to, and that was apparently my deal. Before I go any further, I'm going to say, we're working on this house, and we're remodeling, and the lights, we don't have very many lights working right now, so I apologize for the lights in here. It's kind of dark, but that's the way it is. So here's the thing, as I grew up, and I'm talking about I'm enough and I'm me, along the way, I used to listen. When I was young, I listened to my intuition, but guess what? I stopped listening because if I listened to my intuition, I would have to change. I would have to do something different, and I would probably not have stayed in my abusive situation as long as I did if I'd listened. So everybody has a straw that breaks a camel's back. In any situation, we have a straw that breaks a camel's back, and I did too. So I was 53 when that happened. And when I finally said, okay, that's it, I'm out of here, I didn't know who I was. And I didn't think I was enough. I didn't think that I had anything to offer. I had been like totally, I was going to say beat down. It's not a good word. It's not a good choice of words, but if you lived in abuse, you know what I mean. So what I did was I immersed myself, and this is what I encourage you all to do too. If you've lived in an abusive situation, you need to rebuild who you are. So I read every book I could get my hand on, and I attended seminars. I attended webinars when those were available as I got older, or as time progressed and webinars were available. And I hired a coach. Actually, I had 2 or 3 coaches, and that helped me a bunch. So I joined groups of abused women, and finally I learned who I was. I was becoming me. I was excavating who I am. And that is so darn exciting, and it's worth it. It's totally worth it. It was a lot of work, but I did it. And now I know that I am enough. And here's the message for you. You are too. You are enough. We have made mistakes. We've made bad choices. We've been on the wrong path in our lives, every single one of us, whether we've lived in abuse or we haven't. We made bad choices, we've made poor decisions, and here's what happens. We beat ourselves up. I hear in my head, I'll be walking down the street, or I'll be working on a paper, or writing my blog, or doing something, and all of a sudden I hear myself say, "Oh, Mickey, that was just stupid," or "What in the world did you do that for?" Or I just play those things over in my head like everybody does, and I beat myself up. So I would not talk to anybody else the way I talk to me, and you wouldn't either. So becoming more of who I am, becoming enough, that's, I think we'll do that less. I do it less than I used to. I used to beat myself up for all kinds of things. So look at the big picture. All the things we did wrong, all the mistakes we made, they're bringing us around to being who we are. So some of my mistakes I've made over and over, and I'm not proud of that, but I just didn't learn the lesson. So here it came again. That's the way life is. That's how it works. But it all comes together. I read on Facebook today, it was a quote, and it said, "I walked away because you were busy finding my faults, finding faults in me. I was busy overlooking yours." So isn't that true? That's what we do. We overlook other people's faults while they're picking on us and being mean to us, especially those of us who have lived in abuse. So my message to you is, I am enough, and you are too. You are enough. You are so enough. It's unbelievable how enough you are. And as we become more and more of ourselves, we are more and more enough. And gosh, I just encourage you to embrace who you are. Embrace your life. You are creating more of who you are. You are creating your authentic self. So every single day we learn to be a little bit better. So I'm not perfect, but I'm me, and I'm happy. I love me, and I'm able to say, I love my life. I would not have attracted the marvelous husband I have now if I hadn't changed. So that's what I'm telling you. You are not perfect, but you are enough. You are more than enough, and you are you. Become more and more of you, and you know what? It's time to celebrate. If you've got a glass of wine, grab it and toast with me and say, I am enough and I am me. And that is fabulous. So I'm glad you're here. Thanks for all of you watching. I'm doing this on a different format now. I have a new Facebook page. It's called Surviving Abuse Network, and it's a page. It's not the private group. So I'm using that more and more because Google will find me here. And that's what my business coach tells me to do. So that's what I'm doing. I also want to remind you that starting in November, I have a class coming up. It's a mastermind, 8-week mastermind, and it's called Surviving the Holidays. It's for those of us women who have lived in abuse and who have gotten out. So if you're interested in learning more about the mastermind, right here on the Facebook page where you're watching, scroll down or scroll up, you'll see Surviving the Holidays Mastermind. And check it out. Read that page. The web page never has gotten up the way it was supposed to, but that's okay. Word's getting out, and I'm excited about that class. So check it out. If you're interested, contact me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. I'll be back on Wednesday night, and keep this message in your mind while you go through the rest of this week, and I'll be back on Wednesday, but tonight and through the other days, tomorrow's Monday, it's a brand new week. If you run into hassles on Monday, say, I am enough. I am enough, and I am me. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I'll see you on Wednesday.